Last year, Home Sweet Home, Hide or Die, Friday the 13th. These are all games that competed or tried to compete with Dead by Daylight, this now massive monolith of a horror asymmetrical game. Dead by Daylight has everything you could want, but it still kinda does it poorly, where other games always felt boring and stale, and quite honestly just repeats the most boring parts of Dead by Daylight. Standing around and doing nothing while something kinda happens. I watch other YouTubers play most of these tiles, and I haven't really played them myself. I was bored out of my mind watching them, and they looked like they were bored out of their minds, but they try to make it a little bit more entertaining. There's nothing entertaining about doing a generator, just like there's nothing entertaining about just praying at an altar or doing various other things that other games are trying to mimic from Dead by Daylight. I thought to myself, these games will die probably, and most of them have. Last year is pretty much done. Home Sweet Home is kind of getting a rework. But then Evil Dead came out. Evil Dead didn't even look all that fun to me at first, but then I started watching True Talent play it, and as I got more and more excited, I got it and played it myself, and it was amazing. Evil Dead was just so much more amazing and better than Dead by Daylight in a lot of ways, but why even make the comparison? Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical horror. Evil Dead is kind of like that as well. It's a 1v4 formula, but what is Evil Dead? How does that differ from Evil Dead? Well, for starters, Dead by Daylight was originally created to be a free-for-all, a 1v1v1v1v1, where one of them's a killer and four of them are survivors. Whereas Evil Dead is created for teamwork. Dead by Daylight gives a hatch so that the one person that survives till the end gets a free escape. This is basically just the hatch existing basically says you can throw everyone under the bus for your own survival. Whereas Evil Dead, you have to work together or you all die. Or even if you die, you still win the game. Where in Dead by Daylight, you don't win if you die. It says right there on the screen that you died, but it doesn't say that you win or lose. So what's the key differences between Dead by Daylight's killer and Evil Dead's killer? Well, Dead by Daylight's killer has been pretty laughable for the past year or so, where people are just getting annoyed of playing killer, and unless you're super skilled at killer and always want to do those fancy Dance Dance Revolutions over in every loop and all that jazz, you will probably get bored of killer pretty quickly. And Survivor's kind of the same. You either just sit on gens forever or you get chased and camped and tunneled until you die, and for the most part none of that's really fun. You never really have a fun game of Dead by Daylight anymore. Whereas Evil Dead, I have fun losing as either survivor or killer, and I have yet to really lose as killer on Evil Dead so far. Survivor, I lose a lot because it suffers the same formula as Dead by Daylight, where solo survivor is a complete mess. Not many people communicate, even though they do have the option to. And if people don't know what they're doing, but the demon knows exactly what he's doing, then you probably will die. And I actually do like that challenge, that the killer is just so much stronger than you. Whereas in Dead by Daylight, there's only two killers that really matter, and that's Nurse and Blight. Every other killer feels laughably easy for the most part. Evil Dead, when you're playing as a demon, you fly around, you stick on the survivors 100% of the time. You're placing portals for minions, you can possess the minions to make them stronger and fight the survivors yourself, or you can just sit back and watch like a dungeon master. That's why I really like this game. You could just play like a dungeon master, or you could take it into your own hands, and you could play as this badass boss with minions all around you, and you're constantly straining the survivors, but you still have to give them a break every now and then, because even you as the demon have a resource of infernal energy which you have to leave and go get. The survivor playthrough basically gives a lot of objectives that Dead by Daylight doesn't. Dead by Daylight has two objectives: stall the killer and do generators. And most of the time, three people are just doing generators while you're doing one really long chase with one person. Whereas in Evil Dead, survivors are a lot more limited on what they can do. They need to take time looting and gather resources and giving colas to their supports, otherwise they'll falter eventually to the ever presence of the demon always constantly hounding you down and lowering your health as the game goes on and on. The demon gets stronger and stronger, and the survivors, you get stronger, but you get weaker in resources. Evil Dead really puts an emphasis on looting being an optional thing. You could probably defeat a demon with nothing but great weapons, but in Dead by Daylight, you can just bring any item you want into the game. It could be a purple flashlight, it could be a green med kit with a bunch of charge add-ons, and you would just be able to out heal any one survivor healing. You're making a killer doing a hit and run build completely pointless. But in Evil Dead, looting becomes a necessity, which in addition to the objective that you need to do. And then there's also the aspect of needing to heal, whereas in Dead by Daylight, healing is infinite. Most people bring self-care, and well, self-care is one of the most used perks in the game, but another survivor healing you is just as good. What I love the most is how action-packed Evil Dead is compared to Dead by Daylight. The action Dead by Daylight is getting chased and doing well in that chase, but in Evil Dead it feels more action-packed. You're killing minions all the time, looting feels amazing, you're leveling your character as you play. But then you have gameplay like this in Dead by Daylight. And then you have gameplay like this when you're playing Evil Dead.
Your group has obtained the lost pages. The living are one step closer to defeating the dead.
Evil Dead also has a lot of depth with its perks, unlike in Dead by Daylight. In DBD, if you go outside the meta and do something very niche but still strong, usually that thing requires an add-on and a perk combination that you may or may not have, but in Evil Dead you can just reset your perks at any time and try a different style of play with your demon or even survivor. You want to be more boss focused, basic, elite, maybe even possession focused with a fear increase? You can combine them in multiple ways too, but in Dead by Daylight, it always feels like you either play meta, this very niche specific build, or do something fun, but just accept losing in the progress as gens get done in 4 minutes. Will Evil Dead surpass Dead by Daylight? Honestly, I do not think it will. I have high hopes for it, but it might fall into obscurity and be just a one-time thing as Dead by Daylight continues its never-changing meta and gameplay, and has a hold of all these licenses that are very iconic in the horror series. Dead by Daylight announced a perk overhaul as well that everyone's really excited for, and so am I. But Evil Dead reminded me of what Dead by Daylight used to be, just having fun, winning or losing, because the game doesn't end in 5 minutes because of perks or balance.